What's up, YouTube? Today we're going to do a little bit of a different video. While I am a woman with a quest to thru hike the Appalachian Trail, I thought in this video we'd do something a little different and I'd give you a little bit more about who I'm about, how I came to be, my fears, my desire for more, all that good stuff. All right, let's get into it. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Jessica and I am dollar blazing with intention in hopes of one day white blazing all the way to Mount Katahdin in Maine. What that means is that I am trying to get out of debt, save some money, and thru hike the Appalachian Trail. Now, a little bit about me. I am unmarried, no children, in my 30s. I live in Arizona, born and raised here. I am a proud member of the Tohono Nation, which is one of the over 20 tribes that Arizona has. My reservation's pretty big and I grew up on a teeny tiny little village. I grew up on and off the reservation. There was a small town, is still a small town right next to my reservation, and I lived on the reservation, off the reservation, but still the majority of my life I was in a small, teeny, tiny town. Now, without getting into too much detail, I had a pretty rough upbringing, a pretty traumatic upbringing, and I was surrounded by a lot of violence, a lot of drug use, a lot of alcoholism, a lot of things, poverty, you name it. I grew up seeing a lot of things that I just didn't like. I had a lot of things happen to me that I really didn't like. And as I grew up in that environment, I realized that I needed to get away. I wanted something more. I felt like if I had stayed where I was, that I was going to die. I literally did fear for my life at times, and I also just feared of succumbing to that environment. Eventually graduating from high school and junior college, I decided that it was time for me to leave the reservation. It was such a toxic environment that I really needed to go. Like, I felt it in my blood. This was do or die time. I needed to leave now or never was I going to leave at all. Now, the thing that I was really into at the time, this was, in the early 2000s, was the internet. The internet was just coming to be. I really loved design. I used to make like wallpapers and stuff for computers, and I would scan in pictures of Allen Iverson from my Slam magazine and make wallpapers out of that. So I really knew that I wanted to pursue something in that field. Now, at the time, there were not universities or anything like that offering any sort of degree in graphic design and web design and animation and gaming, nothing like that. You'd have to go to a tech school, and that's what I did. I decided to go to the Art Institute of California, Los Angeles. There was an art institute in Phoenix about an hour off my reservation, but I needed to go away further. I was terrified of, again, succumbing to my environment, and I just wanted to go further. Los Angeles was far enough away that nobody was going to come and drag me back to the reservation, and it was still close enough that it was only 1 hour by flight. So Los Angeles it was. I wasn't even like super excited that it was a big city, movie stars and lights and glamorous and the beach or anything like that. I had no clue. I had no idea. At the time that I was growing up, my world view was so small. It was so narrow. It was just crazy. I didn't have a lot of things in my head. Or nowadays, you can just Google something, you see a million pictures pop up. You see all kinds of crazy stuff, and you're just like, wow, the world is an amazing place. I didn't have that back then. I didn't have that at all. So here I was, this 20-year-old kid. I had no idea what I was in store for. I left my mom, my brother, my sister, and my whole entire family back on our little reservation. Native families are very tight. While the majority of my family was very supportive, there were a few that were not, but I think that's in every family. So anyway, I get to Los Angeles and I'm just blown away by everything. Holy crap, this was life. This is like, oh my goodness, I just couldn't believe it. I literally thought that I was the first person to ever leave the reservation. I didn't know anybody else who had for a long amount of time. Now, my cousin left, she joined the Air Force, and she was the only other person that I knew who had a life outside the reservation or outside that environment that I was talking about. As I grew up, I kind of didn't really have like super a lot of pride about where I came from or who I am. And that was because it was just like a lot of negative stuff. But when I got to Los Angeles, I realized there was so many other people out there, so many other things. Oh my goodness, it was crazy. I fell in love with my culture, with who I am, with being native, because I started learning about other people and other cultures and realized we are all so uniquely different. It was a big culture shock for me, but I loved everything about it. Oh my gosh, riding the bus to go to school, and not talking about the yellow bus, the orange bus or whatever. I'm talking about the big blue bus in Santa Monica. I'm talking about the Culver City bus. These were all kinds of stuff that I was like getting accustomed to. I loved the noise. I loved the helicopters in the sky. I loved the sound of garbage trucks driving by. It just felt alive. It just felt so alive. And I knew like this was it. This is where I was supposed to be. I love everything. The best part was the nightlife. And I'm not talking about all the clubs popping. I'm not talking about, going out and doing partying. I'm talking about the stoplights, the street lights, the lights on the side of buildings, the signs on buildings, the billboards. Dude, everything was like Christmas. You know when you're a kid and it's Christmas time and you go drive around the block and you just look at all the Christmas lights? That was every single day in Los Angeles for me. I was like blown away by all the lights. I loved everything about it. Obviously, I missed my family. I had never been away from my family for that long, and it was really, really difficult. So anyway, I went to school. I got a degree in interactive media, which is basically multimedia and web design. Now, when I graduated, I came back home. I came back to my reservation because when you leave the reservation to go to school, it's expected of you to come back and give back to your people. Wonderful. That's what I'm going to do. That's great. So I came back, but there wasn't jobs back then in multimedia and web design, not in the tribal government area. So without any jobs being available, I tried to apply at Target, which was like 30 miles away. I couldn't even get a job at Target. It just wasn't working out. I decided to go back to Los Angeles. While there, I found a job just like that. I was in my early 20s, working 2 blocks from the beach with some amazingly beautiful, talented people. I worked in post-production, which was basically I worked on DVDs, HD DVDs, Blu-rays, iTunes extras, things like that. I was living it up. I was having such a good time. I loved my life. I loved it. Eventually, I had been there for a few years, so as much as I loved the lights and the food and everything that a big city brings, I was getting tired of traffic. Yeah, traffic was just killing my soul, essentially. So anyway, I spent my 20s off the reservation. I also lived in Washington State for a little while. Shout out to Kirkland, Washington. What's up, people? And then came back to the reservation when I was 30 to take care of my grandmother. When she passed a few months later, I had gotten a job. They were actually hiring somebody for graphic web design. And it wasn't for my tribe. It was for one of the sister tribes. It was just the perfect timing. It was time for me to give back to my people. I was living in my small town again and on the reservation again. Don't get me wrong. It wasn't bad. I mean, it was bad, but as an adult going back into that environment, I think I knew how to handle it a little bit better, obviously. And it had subsided quite a bit. Like all of the stuff that was going on had subsided quite a bit, thank goodness. But still, it's a small town. There's nothing to do. I just kind of started getting bored when I legit seriously discovered hiking. I would go to all these different places. When I left the desert, when I left Arizona, when I left my reservation, I never wanted to come back. I never wanted to see a cactus again, any kind of shrub, the dirt, rocks. Like, I never wanted to see any of that again. Like, oh, I was so done with the desert. Then I came back and everything was just popping, man. Everything was beautiful. The cactus, the trees, the plants, everything. I fell in love with all these things. I got into hiking because I wanted to see all the cactus, all the landscapes, feel the wind on my face, feel the raindrops on my skin. Like, I loved nature. For some reason, leaving it and going back to it was just like, oh, it stole my heart. And because when I lived in Los Angeles, I saw so many different things, it just lit something in me to continue to see different things. I wanted to see it all. So since I've been back in Arizona, I've been able to give back to my people. While it's not my tribe directly, I'm still helping Native communities. I'm working for my second Native American tribe, and I freaking love it. Now, when I was living in Los Angeles, I used all my vacation days to come back home and see my family. So now living in Arizona and having a job, I have vacation days. Hey, what's up? So I don't know what happened. Either my SD card is corrupt or something happened in the transfer, but my editing software keeps crashing. I'm fighting with it for days, literally days. So I'm just gonna tell you what the rest of the video says. The rest of the video, basically what I had said was that now that I'm back home, I get to see my family whenever I can. In fact, I'm back on the res right now. I'm walking my dog. Now I'm only an hour away from the majority of my family, so now I can come and see them whenever I want to. And that means I get to use my vacation days to go on vacation. And one of the things that I really enjoy is road tripping. I've been to quite a few states via road trip, and it might not be the kind of things that tourists want to see, and it might be kind of odd stuff, but I love this country. I wanted to see what this country has to offer, honestly, because this, literally behind me, is what I saw growing up. And while it's beautiful, goodness, I mean, I just told you how much I love it now. You know, I want to see what the rest of this country has to offer. I've actually visited 39 states. I've got 11 states to go. I have a side goal of wanting to see all 50 states, and I want to try and get that done by the time I hike the trail. And the reason for that is because I haven't been to Vermont, New Hampshire, or Maine, or Connecticut, and I think that it would be awesome to walk there. So when I hit the AT and I cross all those state lines and I cross into Maine, that's gonna be the time that I've hit state number 50. And that's just another fun side goal that I'm working on. I don't know if it'll happen, but it'll be fun to see if it does, okay? Thank you so much for watching this video. I'm gonna get back to my family and we'll catch you in the next video. Thank you so much. Have a good day.